It's a brutal place to be, lying next to your wife every night and feeling completely alone. You know, she's not angry, she's not yelling at you, she's just gone. Not physically, but emotionally. No affection, no warmth. In the bedroom, it feels like a chore, something that she avoids at all costs. Meanwhile, you're showing up, you're steady, you're loyal. I mean, you're trying, but nothing changes, does it? And no one talks about this part, how hard it is for a man to do everything right and still feel invisible in his own marriage. I've been there. Over a decade ago, I went through infidelity, brutal divorce, and I found myself being a single dad to 3 little kids. I took all that pain and I rebuilt myself from the ground up, and I have dedicated my life to helping other men like you do the same. I now run Help for Men in our private support community called the HFM Brotherhood, and you can learn more at helpformen.com. Today, I'm bringing to you yet another story that was submitted to Dear DSO by one of our viewers, and this you got to listen to. Suppose you're a man in your mid-40s, retired military veteran, 24 years of service. You've been through some serious battles, overseas and at home. You're not the type to complain. You've handled pain, pressure, long nights, the distance. You faced worse than most men ever will. And a decade ago, thanks to a friend, you met the love of your life on a hunting trip. It started off light, just talking, laughing, sending messages back and forth every now and then, but something about her felt different. And over time, that friendship turned into love. She became your best friend, your partner, your person. The early years weren't easy. You were deployed overseas. She had a medical condition that kept her from joining you, unfortunately, but you stayed connected through texts and phone calls. By 2020, after all the chaos of COVID, you finally made it back home, and you moved to a new duty station together and started figuring out normal life again. But the intimacy dipped. But you know what? You chalked it up to stress, moving, pandemic fatigue, just adjusting to your new life together. And then in 2021, your daughter was born, which was a beautiful moment. But a month after that, you unfortunately needed some serious back surgery. You had to sleep in a separate bed while healing up, and your wife, like any new mom during the pandemic time, she was scared to death, so she kept the baby close in a bassinet right next to the bed. And between the newborn and your recovery, the physical closeness between you and the wife just completely disappeared. But so did that emotional connection. Fast forward to 2023, and you're preparing to retire from the military. Your wife and daughter moved back to their hometown for 6 months while you finish up all your final duties with the military. The house you guys bought together earlier, it feels way too small now, especially with a growing child. And your daughter still sleeps in your wife's room, sometimes even in the bed with her. So the intimacy between you and the wife, it's basically non-existent. And after retirement, you finally move into a bigger house. There's more space, more privacy. And so you think maybe this will help, right? But it doesn't. In all of 2023 and 2024, you're intimate maybe twice a year. You're not pressuring her. You're not begging. You just want to reconnect with her. You have honest conversations about us time, about closeness. And it's not just about sex. It's about being, partners again. So you step up, you help out more with the chores, you cook, you carry her weight. And it's not to earn her intimacy necessarily, but it's because that's what love looks like, when things get hard. But still something feels off. That ache, quiet kind of loneliness, it cuts deep. And you're doing what you can, but physical fitness, it isn't easy anymore. After years of deployments, that left you with some really bad injuries, back problems. So you stay active where you can with yard work and home projects and trying to lose weight. You even get on testosterone to boost your energy and your mood. You got a mission, you got purpose, but the distance between you and your wife, it just keeps growing and growing. And then something shifts. She starts dressing differently, nicer clothes, sexy underwear. She starts tanning. She gets her hair done. She loses all the baby weight, and you notice. And for a second, you think, maybe she's back to her old self again. Maybe we're getting back together, so to speak. But the bedroom still stays cold. And the few times that she does say yes to you, it feels like she's just trying to get through it. It's just a chore. A few months later, it happens again. You're together, but your body just shuts down and you can't finish. And you know what? She looks relieved, and that's what breaks you. She says, maybe it's your meds that you're on. You say, well, it could be, but in your gut, you know better. You have felt unwanted for a long time, and your mind has just stopped trying to connect with her. And then March comes, and out of nowhere, she starts flirting, and she's touching you, and she initiates twice in one night, as a matter of fact. And it feels real. It feels like maybe she's letting her guard down. You're finally, back together as a couple again. But then April comes around, and nothing, silence, no birthday effort, no real anniversary celebration. Just gifts, nothing more. And then May, and you initiate intimacy, but she turns you down at first. But later that night, she comes to you, and it's passionate, and she's present. And for a few hours, you feel like you have your wife back again. And finally comes the work trip, which there's a few weird moments there. Little things. There's nothing solid, but it's enough to make your mind wander. What's going on here? Is she seeing somebody else? Was all that attention she was giving me just guilt? Or was she acting out energy from her affair? So you ask her, and you guys talk it out. And deep down, you don't feel like she's cheating. But after years of loneliness, even the small stuff starts to look like, negative signs. So now you're stuck wondering, what more can I do? Where am I falling short? How do I fix something that feels so gone when I'm still here trying? And you wonder if she even sees you anymore, and if she ever will again. And you lie there night after night wondering how a love so deep could become so quiet. I've talked to hundreds of men who have lived this exact pattern. Some make it out of it, and some don't. But the ones who did, they start by taking their eyes off of the whole fixing her thing, and they start looking inward. That's where the real work begins. So let's start with what every man who is watching this is going to point to, which is some of her behavior does in fact possibly, not for sure, not 100% certainty, but possibly leads me to believe that, maybe there was someone else in the picture. That distance that you had from each other doesn't help a relationship. The fact that you're military, sorry to, stereotype here, but it's a stereotype for a reason. Military life lends itself to a lot of drama in the relationship department. Infidelity, substance abuse, what have you. I hear it a lot in military couples. So that wouldn't surprise me at all if that was going on. And the fact that she was acting kind of, we can call it like a hypersexual phase, but just, for little brief moments like that, and then a sudden dip, and then back up again, and then a sudden dip, points to something at least is going on, some kind of outside factor. And it may be as simple as hormonal shifts within her. I don't know if she's doing birth control, perimenopausal, whatever it may be. It could be, use of substances. We've had guys that have a wife who acts very positive and very feminine and sexual, and he's like, yahoo, but he's like, something's off here, and he discovers that she has a substance abuse problem. But let's look at this in a more positive light. Let's say that there's hope here. There's no infidelity. There's no other people in the picture. There's no substance abuse, whatever it may be. You have just two people who very naturally have grown apart over time. And you have a wife, a mother to your child, who's obviously, very stressed out about all of this. That all of these things are very normal, typical within relationship. And what I have seen, unfortunately, or fortunately, however you want to look at it, from men is that it has to be the man that is the driver, the leader, if you will, of doing the work to bring them back together. If you, point at wife and say, I'm going to leave this all on your shoulders, the gal who had, postpartum depression and sounds like a history of anxiety issues and so forth, and say, hey, do the work to bring us closer together, don't hold your breath. It's just not going to happen. But if you are willing to say, I'm going to do productive, purposeful work to bring us closer together as a couple. No more just sitting back and just seeing what it is that you do, leaving things to chance and so forth. No more passive husband. I'm going to be very active in my work. I'm going to do things that will help you with your postpartum recovery, if that's still an issue, which it sounds like it very well may be. Note that none of these things are talking about fixing her. It's just talking about being a good, empathetic, and supportive partner. Oh, you have the postpartum depression. Maybe we should go talk to somebody about that. Would you like me to help you set up an appointment to talk to somebody? Because I am your husband. I'm not necessarily your therapist. I'm not qualified to take care of this, but I'm willing to help out however I can. One thing I see in a lot of men that follow my material, guys that I call anxious guys, is that they have a very difficult time taking any kind of criticism. There is a subset of guys within my group. These are guys that have ADHD, they're on the autism spectrum, obsessive compulsive, and so forth. But one thing that all of these guys that fall under the neurodivergent umbrella have in common, not all these guys, a lot of them have, they're very, very sensitive to rejection. So when somebody says something like no to them, or doesn't respond in the way that they think that they should, such as, let's say you and wife have a night away from the kid, and all the planets are aligned and everything is wonderful, and you think it should be a night of romance, but instead she's like, I'm beat, I just want to go to bed, it's 10 o'clock, I'm sorry. You, as a guy who's very sensitive to rejection, will just ruminate and spin out of control in your brain about that moment. While people that are more secure with themselves say, hey, she's a tired mom. She finally has a night to get to bed at a decent time. I don't blame her. So you need to be more of the type that is willing to take in that feedback that you get from her, whether it's overt or, kind of subversive feedback that you get from her, and be supportive. And you need to be what we call kind of the good steward of the relationship in terms of promoting things like date night. Taking care of child care so that you guys can have time away from the child. Hugely important. But I understand it sounds like she's a very kind of hyper-attached helicopter mom, super anxious, COVID time, thanks to all the awfulness of COVID. A lot of men and women are like this, but you need to, I guess, go on a campaign for this is important for us to stay close together and to connect emotionally, and reiterate to her that these things coming from you do not mean I immediately want sex with you, gosh darn it. I took you out for dinner and a movie and whatever it may be, so that should equal sex from her. Instead, it should just you two enjoying each other's company. You're dating again, basically. And these things don't have to involve, the stereotypical, I just said dinner and movie, that's very stereotypical date type of thing, but it doesn't have to go in that direction. Long, walks at night together, hikes. These are things that just cost absolutely zero, but it's a good bonding moment for you two just to be alone together and reconnecting at an emotional level. Now, some men hear this and say, if she is in fact cheating with somebody on the side, I bet you that he is not required to have some kind of deep emotional connection with her as her lover. And they're right. Life's not fair, but when you're in a relationship with somebody brand spanking new, a lot of chemicals and hormones and everything else take over, and you become a much more spontaneous, impulsive sexual creature, much more so than when you're in a long-term monogamous relationship with somebody for 10 plus years. The guy or gal in a relationship with somebody for 10 plus years has a different type of work to do to achieve that level of close emotional and sexual intimacy with a person. While the dude that she meets at the bar just has to say, hey, good looking, how are you? They exchange numbers, and the next day, away they go. Such is life, my friend. Now, a lot of this sounds like me saying you need to work, or help her, rather, and you need to work on your relationship. It's you, but you also need to turn some of that work towards yourself. It sounds like you have the issues possibly with the erectile dysfunction. It may, in fact, be your wife may be right. It may have to do with your medications or a combination of that and your anxiety over your relationship. Maybe high blood pressure, who knows? But something to go, to a doctor and just say, this is what's going on. He may put you on low dose, something like Cialis, which is very safe at low doses for most people. It will actually lower your blood pressure and, help out the old Johnson. But you need to be proactive about yourself as well. Take care of yourself, the relationship, be there for her and help however you can. At the same time, with all that being said, she does have a responsibility for herself, and you need boundaries, my friend. You got to be the one to say, this is what I expect out of my partner. And no, I don't mean jump in bed with me. I mean, be able to take care of herself, be able to also be a good steward of the relationship. You understand your role as the leader, especially at this stage of the relationship where you have a wife who seems to have kind of emotionally checked out from you and seems to be going through a lot, whatever that may be. So you have to step up to the plate more so, and it sounds like you've been doing that. But at the same time, she needs to be receptive to it, and she needs to be the type of person to say, I see what you're doing, and I like it. I love it, and I love you for trying. Okay, even though I don't feel like it, I will put in the effort to go on the date nights and hang out with you more, etc., etc. If she is consistently resistant to those efforts, consistently says, I don't think so, buddy, you have no hope. I'm sorry. And that brings me to my next point. A lot of men in this world have a very difficult time with those difficult conversations. They don't like to have those conflict moments. A lot of men in my audience are very conflict averse, and you got to cut that out if that's in fact you. You have to be the one to say, enough's enough. Things are weird between us. Let's just stop not talking about it. Now it's time to put it on the table. This is what's going on. This is what I don't like. Are you happy with the dynamic between us, wife? What do you think? And don't just drop the conversation. I don't want to talk about it right now. Cool, but we will talk about this today. We will not ignore this. I want to address this, or this is the tough part, we are no longer a couple. Ouch. That's where a lot of men don't like to go. And unfortunately, this is life. Sometimes you got to go there. All right, guys, if you're feeling stuck and your relationship is also filled with silence and distance and lack of intimacy, don't suffer in silence. You can send your story to deardso.com. Tell me what you're going through. I read every message carefully, and I'll work with you to understand your situation, and we'll find real solutions together. You don't have to face this alone. Take the first step today. Reach out, share your story, and check out the Brotherhood at helpformen.com/join. All right, guys, thank you so very much for watching, and we'll catch you on the next one.